Hello, everybody. Specifically, our Lorcana group, if you'd like to call it. Anybody interested in Lorcana? If you are also additionally interested in Limited, this is for you. We will be going over the top cards and the worst cards and even the average cards in each of these costs. Now, one of my biggest inspirations for this, for the whole sorry about that, limited format is because of Heath from Be Our Guest and Knive from Knives Nerd Corner. Without them, I don't think I would be as into limited without them. Um, I definitely have picked up on it since this whole entire TCG started. I don't know. I've never been the best at constructed, but something just clicks. I will tell you what for limited, and I don't know why, but that's just how it works. So I strongly suggest me as a advocate or guide to help lead you to the best possible limited situation. Now, these rankings that I'm going to go through are based off of Heath, Be Our Guest's rankings. We have 1 to 2. These are going to be your first to two picks, first 1 to 2 picks. I believe if we're looking at this as letters, this is S, this is A, this is B, this is C, and this is D. Um, and if not, then this is A, B, C, D, F. I believe it's A, B, C, D, F because we need F for traps. First 1 to 2 picks. So these are going to be your first two cards that you pick that you're like, yes, I am very happy I got these. I'm instantly grabbing them. They're so powerful. How could anybody pass them? I could never just let this go without even thinking about taking it. And I probably won't let it pass. 3 to 5 is okay, this is pretty good. If I don't have my 1 to 2 picks, I'm probably going to take this. Even with them, it might be a bit of a debate whether I want this or that. I might feel comfortable with letting it pass, but maybe not. So this is your pretty good, nothing too crazy, but a solid card in your deck that you're going to be like, you know what? This is really good, even if it isn't a 1 to 2. 6 to 10. These are going to be mid to late picks. These are going to be like, well, I'm not going to take it first or really near the first third of this pack, but later on, after it's done like a full rotation, maybe I might grab it. This is a pretty average body. It's not terrible. I'm not upset to have it in my deck. Ink slash if you must. This is like if you've ever played Limited, this is when you get past the last card and you are not happy with it. It's not the best, but maybe it's ink. You're not typically thrilled about it. It's not a decent body, but it's something you can use to ramp up and get to your curve plays. And then we have Trap, and these cards are just cards you want to avoid. You never want to ever possibly think about having this in your deck. It's pretty horrible, and there's no point in having it. So hopefully all these make sense, and without further ado, we're going to get into our first card. So Thomas, he is a 0/4, and I might actually pull up the Dreamborn for this. Ooh, it's a bit slow. Okay, Thomas. So Thomas is Wide Eye Recruit. He is a 0/4, 1 cost inkable, and he quests for 1. Um, Now, the average stat line at this cost is 3, so technically he has an extra stat point. However, he has no attack. And the reason this matters is because if you are put in the, oh, I need to take out my opponent's characters mode, you can't really suffice or do that because Thomas doesn't even hit for anything. Now, if you have some support or attack boost, maybe this could be something, but you need to have a substantial amount. I'm talking like 10, maybe 11. And with the cards we've seen in this set, there is not enough of that. So if you somehow reach that, he goes up, obviously. But even then, there is no turn 2 support. And there is turn 3, but it might be too late by that. So we're going to put him in ink if you must. Sure, he is overstated, but he can't hit anything. And even if he is questing and getting you that lore, it's not going to be too dangerous for your opponent to swing into. They'll be like, oh, he can't hurt me. I'll just take him out with my 4-2 on turn 2. And yes, there are cards like that. Okay, Lilo. Snow Artist. 1 cost inkable, 1/2 quest for 1. While you have a character named Stitch in play, this character gets +1 lore. Now, here's the thing about Lilo. Technically, and I'm going to be straight up with you, this is a 1 cost inkable, 1/2 quest for 1. Even if you have a Stitch, right, at turn 2, number 1, you have to have that Stitch. Number 2, you have to get them in your hand, your opening hand, with this Lilo, and be able to play them on curve without any difficulty. Number 3, in a 40-card deck, it's very unlikely that you're going to get both of them in the perfect situation, and without bodyguards, she's going to get taken out pretty easily because of her 2 willpower. Now the question is, would I put this above or below Thomas? There is a chance of her getting that 2 lore, but again, she's a 1/2, and the odds of her getting that 2 lore are not very likely. If you have a bunch of Stitch, strongly suggest her over Thomas, but because Thomas can get his lore in, she'll probably get 1 lore in before she gets taken out, and he will probably get 2 lore in. So, in that long-term value, Thomas just stands out. Zootopia. I did not mean to add that. So, we're looking at Zootopia Tundra Town. This is a 1 cost inkable, 1 to move there, 5 willpower, quest 1. So, first fact that we know for sure, this is basically a 1 cost inkable 0/5 body that quests for 1. And you think, well, that's pretty good. Is it though? When you think about it, technically, you should never play locations. Also, just going to point this out, 1 to move there, moving to this is not going to be worth it. There's no point because you don't get any benefits from it. So if you play this, please don't move to it. There's no, if you have excess ink, don't even worry about it. There is the chance of this getting, I'd say 2 lore at most. Because you play turn 1 if they have a 2/2, and then turn 2 they play a 3/3. Maybe you can get 3 lore. Otherwise, they're going to take this out. And the fact that it can't challenge, it's not even a possibility, is not enticing. You also have to think about it for locations. Think of it like there are characters that come out exerted. If this comes out exerted, your opponent will take the opportunity to take it out. And it will just get absolutely steamrolled, and there will be no point. While you could argue the willpower is stronger, I prefer characters having the chance to attack, and I also don't like the fact that they can instantly challenge this, and you can't preserve it, unlike Thomas and Lilo. And in all, you shouldn't be around locations. All right, next, Flit. I know this is going to be not very agreed upon by Heath, and I feel bad. But we have Flit, Reflective Hummingbird. He is a 1 cost inkable, 0/2 quest for 1, and when you play this character, move up to 1 damage from chosen character to chosen opposing character. Now, one thing that me and Heath agree with is that usually The cost that these characters have is the cost you should play them. In my opinion, I have a very hard time with cards that have an ability that should be saved for later on, but their cost should make them played that turn. What I'm trying to say is whatever you're going to dedicate turn one should be worthy of turn one. Basically, we have 0-2 Flit, right? And he is moving a singular damage counter, if there even is damage, which is not unlikely, but one damage counter, not a lot, for a 0-2 body. I honestly do not believe this is worth it. There is the possibility of later on, maybe this being the final blow, but typically one damage is not going to be enough. It is a character, so I will take it over Zootopia. There is the chance of it being a possibility of stronger than Lilo if you save it and preserve it correctly. However, against Thomas, who's probably going to get me 2 lore, instead of Flit, who's going to get me a lore and might move a singular damage counter, I take Thomas. I'd rather get higher to my goal, which is 20 lore, than chip at something with a body I'm dedicating that is not worth it. So, that's just my opinion. All right. Miko, Skittish Scrounger. He is a 1-cost uninkable 1/1, cost for 2, evasive. Ooh, okay. That's pretty nice. Oh, wait, what's this here? Bottomless Pit. At the end of your turn, if this character is exerted, choose and discard a card or banish him. Oh boy. So, we all love turn 1 evasives, right? And we love the 2 lore on turn 1, correct? That is amazing. But the second ability, I have tested this, not played it, but tested against it. I was not a big fan of him since he got revealed. The point I'm trying to convey is your hand is one of the top 3 things that are most vital in limited. The 3 things, in no specific order, are your curve. Your curve is probably most important, not gonna lie. That's probably number 1. I would say number 2 is bread. This is going to be your bombs, removal, evasive, aggro, draw. Again, thank you, Heath. Again, a lot of this video is fueled and inspired because of you. So thank you. I will reference you quite a bit. Sorry about that if you don't like that. But I think you are a name worth mentioning, in my opinion. But back to this. I have played against this. This card, typically, what I have seen, will, if you let it last for about 3 turns, if I remember correctly, your opponent will be left, if they keep discarding, to about 3 or 2 cards in their hand. And at this point, it might even be less. It's like 2 to 1, I think. I'm not entirely sure. But it is, you're basically, instead of wasting a card to ink and a card to play on your turn, you're going to be wasting a card to ink, a card to play, and 90% of the time with him most likely being exerted, a card to discard. You're losing 3 cards a turn. That is not in any way, shape, or form a good thing. Evasive is awesome, but Miko is not worth it. Especially when one of your top 3 most important things is going to be dumped and possibly entirely removed. This is a trap. If he was inkable, this would be a very, very, very low D. And even then, I'd probably still keep this in trap just to remind myself that, hey, if I run this, I'm probably going to get stuck in a cycle of discarding something. The proper way you probably want to do this is save it a bit, quest with it, maybe discard a card. Second time you use him, banish him. Maybe get off like 2 or 4 lore, banish him. There's no point in running him anymore. If you get 4, that's a fifth of your goal. So that's a pretty substantial amount, but you dumped cards. So in the end, it's not really worth it anyways. Sorry about the long spiel. I am just very passionate against not liking him because I know that evasive might grab somebody's attention. Alright, next. Pua Disgruntled Pig. So Pua is a 1-cost inkable 2/2 quest for 1. Now, like I said earlier, the average stat line, technically, when you combine all of the stat points together and by adding, and then divide it by the number of characters, you will get 3, roughly. Pua is a 2/2. This is technically the average body. However, because of the 2 1s and the 1 2s and the 0 2s, Pua is technically overstated. However, it does not amount enough to the new power creep cards. I'm specifically talking at 2 cost 3 3s. It's no longer just 2 3s and 3 2s. It is 3 3s mainly. Um, and because of that, Pua's value goes down. So while it would be, that C minus, maybe C, this is going to be high D. Um, so average bodies from now on, just so you know, will be like high D. They're just not strong enough. Which is sad. However, just going to put this out here, I would still try to have 4 1s. Be Our Guest says 1 to 3. I would not do that, personally. No hate. It's just, you need to also have a strong turn 1. And if you don't, most of the time that will throw off your game. Sadly. So, sorry, Heath. But you should at least, in my opinion, have 4. I would say 7 2-drops, 10 3s, 10 4s, 9 or 8 5s, and then a couple of 6s and up. Probably 6 is where I would cap at. I would not go any higher than that. You'd need ramp for that to possibly work. All right. Sorry, another ramble. Next we have Swordplay. 1 cost, inkable, action. Chosen character gains challenger +3 this turn. So, if this said draw a card, this would go up. This would probably be, in my opinion, C+. Turn 1 card draw is very nice. If you don't have a character, you're at least gaining a different card. Number 1. Number 2, with this ability, this could not only serve for a powerful challenge, possibly taking out that 5 cost with a 2 cost, but it would also get you that card. However, this is just an action that is going to take up space in your deck, make you waste a card for this for Challenger +3 on nothing if you play this turn 1. Later on, even then, it's not worth wasting a card. I just don't find it very interesting. This is bottom D. This is like D minus. If it was uninkable, it'd be a trap. Alright, Pot of Honey, I believe. Yep. 1 cost inkable item, and it has the ability I'm Stuck. Banish this item, chosen exerted character can't ready at the start of their next turn. So this is a one-time thing, and it doesn't let an opposing exerted character, or just any character that's exerted, ready at the start of their next turn. Honestly, I prefer sword play over this. Cool, you make a character stuck. But if they have 3 or 2 characters, they're still going to have another 1 or 2 to work with. And even if it helps you get to that extra lore, I rather prefer a favorable challenge than a possible one character not being able to quest, um, especially with reoccurring action things and all that. All right, next we have Stitch, Naughty Experiment. He is a 1-cost inkable 2/1, quest for 1 and tap. Chosen opposing character gains Reckless until the start of your next turn. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a big fan of Stitch. However, I'd say if you get bodyguards and you find a way to make it so that even if um, Stitch were to be challenged, the character who would challenge still be banished. Awesome. This goes up in value. However, we're looking at a 1-cost inkable 2/1 and tap. Chosen character gains Reckless during your next turn. Basically, they're just going to run into Stitch, and there's not going to be much repercussion. You basically just wasted a character to use a meaningless ability. I just don't see it. If you have bodyguards, though, again, if you have evasive givers, protection of any sort, soars in value. But at its base value, which is how you should take cards, it is not worth it. All right. I keep adding. Copper. Hound Pup. He is a 1-cost inkable 2/1 quest for 1, and when you play this character, chosen player reveals their hand. Knowing your opponent's hand and how their turn is going to play out is not that important in draft or sealed. If we're playing constructed, maybe. This is not that, though. And honestly, Stitch's ability, I would say, trumps Copper's ability just because there is the possibility of bodyguards and all of that, while Copper's ability doesn't really matter or do much to detriment or put the opponent in a bad situation. All right. Todd, all alone. 1-cost, 2/2, quest for 1. Same as Pua. He will be put over Pua, however, because of his hero tag, while Pua only has ally and the fact that he has a shift. So, that is why he is above. All right, Donald Duck, Nephew Fred, 1-cost inkable 2/2. Same situation, no shift, however, and he's an ally. I'd probably put him above Pua. Pua is cute, I will not lie, but I really love the Donald Duck art. So, all right, Hercules, here we go. Here's the epic, that's nice. 1-cost inkable 0/3, quest for 1, boost 2. While there's a card under this character, he gets +3 attack. So, here's what I think. All right, this is C minus C. And here's why. If preserved correctly, you will probably get, roughly, I would say about a lore or 2 out of him. Then, you boost him later on. Again, with bodyguards, he soars. And then you trade with a 3/3. Or a 4/3. Anything with 3 willpower or lower. That is pretty good value for a 1-cost, especially with this power creep. Am I a big fan of turn 1 boost? No. I did not like that Flynn Rider. However, the Flynn Rider was amazing. My main assumption for that is because when he was boosted, he would get +2 attack and an extra lore, I believe, so he was a 3/2 that quested for 2. This is practically the same thing, except he gains an extra willpower for that missing lore, which honestly I prefer anyways. I love bigger bodies that can actually stand their own and detriment their or your opponent's board or put them at risk of sabotage or losing. It's that control and skill based section of this format. So I personally have Hercules pretty high. All right. Lonely Grave. Sorry, I almost skipped it. One cost inkable item. Tap, banish chosen character of yours, and that's it. That is all you need to hear. Second ability, you can possibly boost something, but you have to banish one of your characters. You could argue, maybe you get use out of the character, then you throw it away. But if you have a 5/5 with 4 damage on it, you're probably going to want to keep it out to make your opponent have to deal with it, even though he's still going to do the 5 damage. This is worse than Miko. Miko is a body and has evasive, while this is trying to banish one of your characters for a boost that might not even happen. Alright, Beast Castle. 1 cost inkable location, 1 to move there, 6 willpower, and Snowball Standoff. Whenever a character here challenges another character, gain 1 lore. Here's what I think. There is a chance of this lasting 3 turns, I would say. However, does not gain you a passive lore. Number 2, as long as you preserve your characters and don't leave them exerted and wait for the right moment to take this out, the opponent will not benefit from this whatsoever. Maybe they'll get a lore off of one of their other characters, but it's not that impossible to come back from and start building up. They wasted their turn 1 on a non-character. That is not going to get any value. I would start challenging this probably turn 1. Not gonna lie to you. Because as long as you have like a 2/2 and they play like a 1/2, 0/2, 0/4 or something not worthy enough, which they probably won't in combo with this, they can't really gain any value. Basically, you're wasting a location, however, for something that's probably not going to get. That's not going to happen. Zootopia is probably going to get you some passive lore. Beast Castle can be completely removed without anything, though. I might even put this. I'd put it above Pot of Honey. Maybe not Swordplay, just because Swordplay can set up for that favorable challenge. All right, Rue. 1 cost inkable, 1/1, quest for 1. Tap, put this character face down under one of your characters or locations with boost. With Bodyguard, again, Bodyguard saves a lot of things. But you can't always have Bodyguard, and there's not a lot of it, especially not a lot of common and uncommon Bodyguard. So we're looking at a 1 cost inkable 1/1. You'll probably have 4 or 5 boost characters if you're not even trying to play a boost deck. If you are, this is amazing. If you are not, this is mediocre. Personally, you'll probably get that boost ability. It might get banished beforehand. I think it's debatable, but I don't think it is better than Copper or Stitch. A 1/1 is just not worth it. You could argue you could preserve it and then put it under one of your characters, but you just wasted a card for a extra boost that might get you a lore or 2, but in the end is not challenging anything, is not removing anything, and is not doing anything to your opponent's board. And I think you should always be doing something to your opponent's board in some sense. And this doesn't do much. I'm just not a big fan of it. I could see it working with a boost centered deck and bodyguards. However, without that, it's nothing crazy. You might get that boost ability and you might get a couple lore. It's probably best scenario. However, I just don't see the full picture without a boost center deck. All right. Um, Probably the best one cost. I used to think Gontu was, but I'll have a reason for why he's not. Cena, a one cost inkable 2/1 alert. This is going to go up in here. I don't think it's better than Herc because Herc's going to trade with that big body, and there are enough evasives to where you're not always going to need an evasive answer. But if you don't, this is a pretty good answer. Even if you have a bunch of evasives, but you need a one cost and you see this or like copper or any of the 2/2s, probably going to take this because you're not always guaranteed going to have evasives in your opening hand. So I see Cena as pretty high value, especially since she is aggressively inclined in the sense of attacking, not aggressively as an aggro. But yeah, I really like Cena. All right, Honker Muddlefoot. One cost, inkable 1/2, quest for 1. Your character's name Darkwing Duck gain resist +1. So a 1 cost inkable 1/2 quest for 1. The ability is not going to happen. The Darkwings are horrible for limited, gonna be frank. And you're probably not gonna have one either anyways, regardless, because there's there's the 1 cost common. Other than that, no. It's just not gonna happen. There's not enough chance to have them both in your hand. It's the same as Lilo. Which would I rather have? Honestly, Lilo, because there are more common stitches and reasonably limited, like oriented, I guess you would say, that make it possible for Lilo. And +1 lore is pretty nice, while giving resist +1 to one of your Dark Wings is nothing crazy. So yeah. All right. Blue Smoke. 1 cost, an inkable item. That's about it. Yeah, that's about it. If you have a character named Darkwing Duck in play, you pay 1 less to play this item. Probably not going to happen. Almost 100% not going to happen. Tap 1 ink, banish this item. Chosen character gains ward until the start of your next turn. No. No. Uninkable item is where it ends. Better than Lonely Grave, I would say, though. All right. Tiny Tim's Crutch. 1 cost inkable item. Tap. Chosen character gains support this turn. There are like 2 support characters, so this is pretty good. However, you're wasting a card for an item. That is not a body, and it's not going to be a questing threat or a challenging threat. So, while this is valuable, it's not too valuable. I would honestly put it above Rue. Maybe Copper. You could switch them if you want. I'm just going to keep it here, though, because Copper is a reasonably statted body with a below average ability, but it's still an ability that does something. All right. One of the most difficult cards to deal with. Oh, wait, first we got to do Darkwing. Sorry. So we'll do Darkwing first. 1 cost inkable, Darkwing, Doc, 2/2, quest for 1, crime fighter. He's a superhero and a detective. While he has a million tags, none of them really matter. Detective, possibly. There's only one that benefits off of a detective, and he's horrible. It's like Fangmire, 5 costs an inkable, 4/4. No. And I'd rather have Todd for the possible shift than Darkwing for gosh knows what. All right, Gontu. 1 cost inkable, 3/3, hamster reveals accomplice. Easy target. When you play this character, choose and discard a card. The body is amazing. However, this is the same body that most of the 2s have. Meaning, you are wasting 1, 2, 3 on 1 turn for a card that would only waste 1, 2, which is inking and playing. Possibly, maybe not even inking. You might play that later. This will, no matter what, cost you at least 2. A 2 cost inkable 3/3 will cost you 1 for playing it. It's just not worth it. It's inkable, and there is a chance you could recover from that card loss. It could possibly be a 2 for 1, but technically it will be a 2 for 2 because you wasted 2 cards. I say this is over. Tiny Tim's Crutch. Now over the 2/1 that's not going to waste you a card that can trade with a 3/2 or 4/2. Probably don't take it over that, but you know. All right, Winterspell. Again, me and Heath are going to disagree for a second. 1 cost inkable action. Chosen location of yours can't be challenged until the start of your next turn. Draw a card. I don't entirely know what it was. It was during my personal favorite draft set. I went to 3 events in a row, won all of them. It was amazing. And what set was this? This was Reign of Jafar. It is my favorite, personally. I don't know about you, but I really like this set. Oh, it might not have been this. But anyways, way off topic. I really loved that set. That set was amazing. I don't know why. I was just a big fan of it. It might be, it's one of these 2. So we're going to check. Here it is. Restoring the Heart. 1 cost inkable action. Remove up to 3 damage from chosen character or location. Draw a card. So you were possibly removing 3 damage, which is fair, right? It makes it a bit better. And then you draw a card. The reason I like Winterspell is because of this draw card on turn 1. It's the same thing. The remove 3 damage and the chosen location can't be challenged was never a big deal. But the drawing a card on turn 1, especially if you didn't have a character, or maybe if it was just later on, was still good. Heath did not really like this card. He ranked it pretty low. Low D, I believe. But this is at least C minus. My opinion, this is C plus. Not that high. C plus. I could be out of my mind, but that is just my opinion. All right. Nearly indestructible. Chosen character of yours gains resist +2 until the start of your next turn. Same as Pot of Honey and Swordplay. I take this over Swordplay. I've seen it in action. It's not terrible. Infra. Pink Ultra Scan Specs. 1 cost inkable. When you play this item, draw a card, then choose and discard a card. Banish this item. Chosen character gains alert this turn. So, you're paying 1 ink, playing down an item to cycle. So, nothing crazy. Banish it. Chosen character gains alert this turn. I say, if you don't have much evasive answer, yeah, could work. However, I just don't see it unless you have no evasive answers. It stays there. I have seen the idea of discarding this to give alert and then ramping with Jiminy. I am aware of this. However, still don't see it that high. So, this is, for me, the 1 cost ratings for Winterspell Limited. Take a picture if you want. If you don't like this, I completely understand. Maybe you want to take a picture of Heath's. Either way, I suggest making a tier list. These have always helped me during my limited, experiences. But if you don't need it, perfectly fine. And I hope you enjoy the